Hi, I'm Dr. Megan Downing. I teach in organizational leadership in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I also teach in the Honors College, and I'm here today to talk with you about teamwork concepts and strategies for effective collaboration. We will cover a series of concepts about teamwork, but let's start with teams and groups. We often use these terms interchangeably. Groups, though, are a bit more like the dogs you see on the left, just hanging out and having a good time, whereas a team is more like the dogs you see on the right. Teams are two or more individuals who work together interdependently, which means you depend upon the knowledge, the skills, the experiences that each individual can bring to the project to help you work together, mutually accountable for a final common goal. Everyone is responsible for the work that the team must complete, and you work together for team success. But how do you define team success? Is that just completing the project? Is that just getting the good grade? Well, those are certainly part of the goal. It's a very important part of the project. That's the project completion, right? The task aspect of the teamwork. But you need to also consider, how are you operating as a team? What kind of relationships are you forming? Is the team performing well? So consider both the social and the task aspects of teamwork. Foster a strong social environment. Allow time for team warm-ups and getting to know you activities early in the team. Don't be too focused on just getting down to brass tacks and getting the task done. You need to focus on building those relationships because early on you want to build trust and build it quickly. In doing so, you foster the formation of an environment where everyone feels safe, essentially a psychologically safe environment where people are comfortable in sharing their ideas, their comments, and their concerns. And you need to hear all of that. You need people to be comfortable in communicating and performing with the team. You don't want people to feel excluded because remember, the team should work interdependently. And without that trust, without that psychologically safe environment, you may not be able to leverage all of the skill sets and the knowledge that each individual can bring to your project because they may feel excluded and they may not share comfortably. It's helpful to think about these concepts in context with stages of team development. Tuckman and Jensen refer to the stages of team development in the 5 stages you see here. Early on, Tuckman recognized 4 of these, and with further research along with Jensen, they identified a 5th. The forming stage is essentially that getting to know you phase, where you're just recognizing each other, getting to know each other, being very careful and polite. But as you get your project criteria and you start understanding what the team needs to accomplish, and you try to divide up the roles and the responsibilities and determine how the team is going to work together to achieve that ultimate goal, you might run into some conflict. Now, a little bit of task conflict is perfectly normal and something that can actually strengthen the team as you work through that conflict and you hear each other's ideas that you might not have thought about had they not shared them. And you have these minor disagreements that you work through. And then you ultimately reach the norming phase where everyone agrees upon their operating procedure and you can move into the performing stage, do the work, celebrate that accomplishment, and adjourn. Now, some researchers will point out to you that not every team follows this linear progression of development, and that's okay. You might skip a stage, you might circle back. Some team formation and team development is more cyclical in nature. That might vary depending on the team assignment, the organization, the environment. But what's important here is that you understand that teams will have different phases and actually encounter some disagreements and have different levels of productivity. In fact, Gersick recognized that teams experience what is referred to as punctuated equilibrium, where there are periods of low activity like forming, storming, and norming phases, and those are followed by performing phases, which is essentially the bursts of energy and change and productivity in these punctuated equilibrium phases. It can be helpful to maintain a team's productivity and to make sure that everyone is essentially on the same page and there's no confusion about what is expected if you have a team contract. Team contract is something that you should build together as a team in those early phases of team development. Goals and objectives, that's self-explanatory. Roles and responsibilities, you want to be as detailed as possible so that there's no misunderstanding of what each person is supposed to do. And each explicit detail to that responsibility is written out in the contract so that there is no misunderstanding and confusion. Similarly, norms need to be explicit and detailed. How often will you meet? How long will the meetings last? Who's going to take the notes and communicate the summary to the team members? How will you communicate? Will you use email? And if so, how quickly is someone expected to respond to that email or a text? Outline your team's communication processes, outline your meeting norms, include anything that your team might need to have detailed within the norms to ensure high-functioning team. Also, recognize that your project timeline, while it needs to be formed within the deadlines of the team calendar, you also need to consider that every team needs to allow some lead time to give them plenty of time to accomplish the project, to be able to edit it and polish it before it is ultimately due. Allow yourself some time to mitigate unexpected circumstances as well. And by mapping that into your project timeline, it's the benefit for everyone on the team. And finally, make sure that your team knows how they will be evaluated. Will there be individual and peer evaluations? Will there just be a comprehensive team evaluation? However the team is evaluated, it's important that everyone on the team understands that and know what's at stake up front. Review project guidelines and expectations in an academic setting, the grading criteria. Make sure everyone is informed and that there is no misunderstanding. Your contract is an organic document that you can even edit if the team agrees as the project moves forward and you recognize new responsibilities, norms, or conflict management processes that you might need to include in the contract. I hope that this information that I've shared with you is helpful, gives you some points to consider as you collaborate with your teammates on academic projects, and you can carry this experience out with you into the professional world once you graduate. Best wishes on an effective semester. Take care